In this lesson, we're going to be talking about slopes of lines. You may have looked at this before, but if you haven't, then we'll go over it for the first time, I guess. But if you have heard about slope before, you may have heard of the uh, terms rise over run, because what a slope is, it's a vertical rise, it's a vertical shift over a horizontal shift. So over here I have a line with these points that are on the line. Um, the slope is representative of how much is shifted between these points. So if I look at this example here, the vertical rise, I go up 2 spaces, and to get to the next point, I go over 1 space. So this slope here is 2 over 1, or just 2. Now the nice thing about this is, between any points on the line, it has this same ratio. So let's say I start here and I go up 4. If I go up 4 points, I go to the right 2 spaces. Well, this actually reduces to 2 over 1. I like to keep slopes in the most simplified manner because of this. Here I could go up 6 and across 1, 2, 3 spaces, which again is 2. And these 2 endpoints here, I can go up 8 spaces and run horizontally 4, and this will give me, again, 2. This is slope. Now, it's rather tedious to take an equation and graph it and count, especially if they don't work out so perfectly in real life. So there is a slope formula. And here I have 2 points. I'm going to calculate the slope formula. So these are 2 points with x and y pairs. In order to tell the difference between the 2 of them, I have subscripts. So this is going to be x1, and this is y1, and this is x2, and this is y2. It doesn't matter which pair I call 1 and 2, but as long as the x2 is with the y2. The slope is a change in the y values. So it's the difference in the y's. So if I go y2 minus y1, that shows me the amount that I've shifted upwards, how much I've risen. Likewise, on the denominator, I'm going to have x2 minus x1, and that's going to show me how far I've run, the horizontal run distance. So now I just plug values in. So y2 is 2, y1 is 16, x2 is 11, and x1 is 7. So here I'm going to have negative 14 over 4, which I can reduce to 7 over 2. One quick note about fractions, notice how the numerator is negative. So rather than keeping it up there, I actually put the negative sign in line with this. This tells me that the overall fraction is negative. Now, what do you think a negative slope means? Well, if you think about the line, here I go down 7 spaces and then to the right 2. So if I connect these, I can see that this line is going downward. This is a line with a negative slope. And this will be the same thing as if I do, again, down 7 to the right 2, or up 7 to the left 2. So if I start with this point, and I go up 7 spaces, and then I go to the left 2, I actually get the same line. So knowing negative values with fractions is going to be important and help you graph if you need to graph. But in terms of finding the slope, this would be our complete answer, negative 7/2, because this would help us with any equation that we would need to use. Now, there is a relationship between perpendicular and parallel lines and their slopes. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So here, again, rise over run. this first line goes up 2 spaces and to the right 2 spaces. So this, the slope is equal to a positive 1. And if I look at this second line, it goes up 2 and to the right 2. So this also has a slope of 1. So parallel lines have the same slope. What about perpendicular lines? If I look at this top line, the slope here goes up 2 and to the right 1. So this slope is 2 over 1. It's really, I would write this as 2, but I'm going to put this as 2 over 1 just to emphasize the relationship here. And the next one, I can see if I do rise over run, I go down 1. So down 1 is a negative 1, over to the right a positive 2. Look at the relationship between these. So perpendicular lines, when we go from a positive to a negative, or a negative to a positive, we call that opposite. So these are opposite. And notice how the numerator and denominator flipped. We call that reciprocal. So perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes, whereas parallel lines have the same exact slope. And that's pretty much it. So make sure that you understand the relationship between parallel and perpendicular lines, and then also how to use the slope formula.